most of the population of the Canada made from the immigrants. You are just like a visitor in the first 3 months. In the last 2 years, they opened the gates. Finding a job here is so difficult. They need to be more patient. This is the only choice, I think. Most of the things happen here online. For a two-bed condo, minimum 3,000. This is the country of the child, and after that for pets.
Starting your career is a really difficult challenge, specifically if you want to do it in a completely new country. As our previous episode, we still have one guest from Canada who has moved in here for almost 1 year ago. And we want to realize how difficult these things can be and realize more about these things. So we have here our guest. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello to everyone. I'm Hadi and hope to enjoy this episode.
Yeah, me too. As I said, I guess you moved in here around 1 year ago.
Yeah, that's correct.
So we are in Toronto for everyone that are following our channel. Our previous episode, which you can also check out, we talked about how Emad has difficulties and how he faced the challenges to come here. And one of the first questions that I always ask for all of the people that move abroad is what exactly inspired you to move abroad and why specifically Canada?
What comes to my mind, I would say that the Canada is very good behavior with all of the immigrants that come to Canada, because most of the population of the Canada made from the immigrants, maybe more than 80%. And the other reasons is the language of the Canada. As you know that the second language in my home country is English, and it's so easy for us to speak in English other than the European language.
Definitely. I would say also because in Germany, for me also, still after 4 years, learning German is really difficult. And for a lot of people, I guess, it's really important to know that if they want to move to another country, if they have a really difficulty learning a new language, specifically a language that is not common, like German or French or this kind of things, definitely choosing an English-speaking country is much, much easier. You moved in here with your family, am I right?
Yes, with my wife and my 5-year-old kid.
Okay, so how did you prepare? This is really difficult for families to come here.
Yeah, actually, the main issue that the educational curriculum that we had in the Canada, and it was the reason that we choose this country. All of the governmental schools in the Canada are free of charge, and it provides you a lot of opportunities and for our kids. And most of the times we enjoy our kid having in a school, the time he having in school. Preparing also for this kind of curriculum was so difficult for us because, as you said that, my boy is learning the mother tongue language in that age. But when he's trying a new culture and a new language, it is so confusing for him and also for us. So as we came here as a family, we need a bigger place than an individual. So we need a condo with 2 beds that makes me a living cost very high.
Yes.
As you know that Toronto has a very high living cost.
Yes, definitely.
That was the main issue that we have for immigration.
Yeah, so I would say as you say, people who want to move in with their families, not only the financial is a really big part, but also the fact that this culture shock is not only for the parents, but mostly it affects the children that will also have the after effects on the parents.
Yeah.
I want to know how did you adapt to this new Canadian culture? How did you prepare yourself?
When I moved here around 1 year ago, it took maybe 3 months to accept us as immigrants, because in the first 3 months, you cannot open and credit accounts in the banks. You cannot get your social number, and you cannot get your real status here. You are just like a visitor in the first 3 months. After the 3 months, after a couple of months that you start your living here, this is the starting of the culture shock.
Yeah.
So when you have a social number, when you have a credit card, when you are a job seeker, when you invited to the interviews, a lot of times you can understand that you have beside yourself, you have a lot of competitors that seeking the same situation, and they are seeking for the job positions available in the market.
Like because I guess they think like this is just a trip for now, and they slowly realize this is now the place that they have to live now.
On my mind, I'm sure about that. I'm gonna stay here, but in my kid's mind, he think all of the time that this is just a trip.
Yeah.
I will come back to my country and speak Persian to all of my friends. But the culture shock began for him maybe after a couple of months.
Yeah, I would say like for our audience, listeners and viewers, this is really important to know that what kind of sacrifices you have to make for your family if you think about their future, and this is really difficult. Like that is why like they say like immigration is one of the most difficult decisions a person can take throughout their life.
Definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk about the career part, as you said, like finding jobs and stuff. How difficult you can compare like this comparison between finding a job and landing a job in Europe and in Canada.
In my opinion, in these days, Canada are struggling with a hard situation because in the last 2 years, they opened the gates for the immigrants to Canada. But nowadays, they have a problem for job finding for all of the people that are residing in the Canada. So all of the government here are trying their best to giving the people the good opportunities and the good job positioning, open job positioning, but it is not sufficient for this population. Also in our province, Ontario, so it is the hardest one here. But in comparison to our country, or to comparison with all the people, all of my home country people who immigrate to Europe, finding job here is so difficult. However, if you want to make it such a relevant job that you might have been succeeded to do it very well, it is such a hard work to find a relevant job with your career before in Iran.
Like definitely it's so difficult to find a job that is remotely related to what you were doing before.
As you know that, I want to explain that most of the jobs in this country are holding in a remote. But we don't have this kind of jobs in our country. All of the jobs in our country are in person. 50% of the jobs here, also the engineering, data analyst, also all of the operators must do the job remotely from the home.
Yeah, I would say also in Germany, like this is one of their biggest tribes, because that way also they can save a lot of money, like the companies, like regarding the power and the usage of a lot of things like they had to use before. Nowadays they don't need that. Like they just bring someone and tell them, okay, you can just work at home.
Yeah, I think this is the way of the future.
Yeah, definitely. And basically a lot of newcomers that come, as you said, they will have a lot of different cultural shocks here. And what would you say that they can prepare themselves better before they come and maybe when they arrive?
All of the things that I can say is they need to be more patient. This is the only choice, I think. When all of the things that happening in this country in comparison to my home country is going in a slow mode. All of the things in a slow mode. When you go to the bank, you need to wait maybe 30 minutes for a little job. For maybe if you were in your home country, it will be done maybe in 1 or 2 minutes, but you need to stay here for 30 minutes. When you are going to any governmental services like Service Canada, Ontario service, something like that, you need to be patient and stay a lot of time to get just little services from the government. Most of the things happen here online. If you want to apply, for example, if you want to apply to paying electricity bills monthly with authorizing the auto payments, you need to mail to the operator and stay maybe around 2 weeks to get a response.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say also like in Germany, still a lot of things are also done throughout paper. Like still, like if you want to get a response, they will say no, we don't even send you an email because it should be verified. They will send you by mail. And then I, like, the first time when I was in Germany, I was like, bro, it's 2020. Like, what is happening? I thought it's finished, like the papers and stuff, but still they use this thing. And yeah, that is also really annoying, I guess. But as also Hadi says here, I guess patience is one of the most important key factors when a person is
Aside of your financial
yes
issues, the side of your social issues here, you need to be more patient in all of the way that you have.
As a person who already has been living here for quite a while, you have had an estimation of how is the prices here. So can you give a rough number for people that, like, for our audience, that
if I want to divide it to two parts, the main living expenses in the Canada is for renting a condo or maybe a house. For a two-bed condo, minimum 3,000 Canadian dollar per month.
But definitely it's like if it goes to like a
this is the GTA of the Toronto. That it means that the Toronto is a big place, that most of the parts, most of the regions here are the same. The downtown, the York region, the Richmond Hill, the most famous one that all of the Persians know about, that they're all the same in the maybe around living expenses for the condos or house. Yeah,
it's like 2,500 euros, I guess.
2,000 euros. Okay. Yeah,
two bed.
The ratio is 1.5.
How much square meter, like you would say?
800
square
feet. Yeah.
Okay.
And also for the groceries, for per person, I think about 600 per person in a month. Yeah.
I realized, like, last night we went to buy some small, like this much bag, and some chocolates, or like 2 ice creams, and like one
bag,
yeah, these things, it was like around $50.
Yeah, the routines. Everything supermarket expenses is like $50 per day. Yeah,
I mean, it's really crazy that you have to spend this much money. And how much is the minimum wage for like a person that gets here? Like, if they
for individuals, or you mean for a family?
Let's say at first for individual.
For individual, I think with all of the expenses, 2,000 or maybe 2,500 per month.
Per month?
Yeah.
2,500.
2,500.
Okay.
But for a family, 1,500.
1,500, like 2,000.
5,000.
5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. 5,000. Okay.
The Canadians say like this: 500, 1,500.
Oh yeah.
100. Yeah.
Oh, okay. One of the other things that might be also interesting to know is the, like, places, of course, like, because I heard that if the person is living in the north of Canada, which literally no one goes there because it's so freaking cold, and people who live on the lower part, like, it's like 80% of the population of Canada. 95% is like in this,
living in a south area.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And the prices here are like, the taxes and everything is different.
Taxes like the HST and GST and the carbon taxes are different in all of the province. We have 12 provinces in Canada. The Ontario and the British Columbia are the highest one. But in maybe the Alberta or maybe on Quebec, the tax over there is 8%.
Oh, okay.
The GST and HST 8%. Here is 13%.
One of the things actually is so interesting for our audience to know. The moment you move here, like when you go to a restaurant, there is like the prices, and you see, oh, okay, it's like it's totally fine and stuff. But then they give you the receipt, like it comes like 13%.
13% on a HST, 20% on a service that you got on a restaurant.
Yeah,
actually, and a tip of 20%.
Yeah, at least.
Like, yeah, 20%, 25% of the tip. That is so common to give it to the bartenders or a barista in a restaurant, in servant. Yeah. When you get the price on the menu, you can add a 50% totally
to all of the
price. Yeah, this is the final price for you.
Yeah, it's really unfair. Like you at first they give you a good feeling, like this is going to be the price, and then at the end they cut so much money.
As a matter of fact, when you go to a Starbucks or Tim Hortons, such a familiar one that everyone know about, the coffee shops in Canada, when you buy a coffee that it costs you $2, when you want to pay it with your card, you can see the tip on a POS machine, $2 plus 20% of tips for a coffee.
Yeah, definitely. And only because they just brought the coffee and put it like in front of you.
In 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Get the 20% of the tip in 10 seconds.
Yeah. As you mentioned, your kid go to school. Yeah. How is the school situation like for him specifically and also in general?
We have here elementary school, middle school, and high school. Before the elementary one, we have the JK and SK grades. That means a junior kindergarten and a senior kindergarten. The children goes to a school when they get 4 years old. They spend 2 years on a JK and SK, and they prepare themselves for a starting grade 1. And my kid is on an SK right now. He's the second year of school here. The last year he went to a school around 4 months, and at this semester he's going fully to the school. And about the educational curriculum that they have here, there is such a good curriculum that I ever seen in my life. Because when I was a child, I don't have any curriculum in my school. I go to a school by bus, and after that, teaching start with the teacher, and we have just a break between our lessons, and then came back to home with our bus. But my boy, when he came to school, he go to school every day. He start the day in a playground, then going to his class that they don't have any paper, any notebooks, any pen, something like that in a school. Never ever they have it. Not in the JK and SK. All of the elementaries, they don't have any pen and any notebooks, paper on their bags. So they have just a food box themselves and a bottle of water with them, and they go to school.
But they do teach them alphabet.
Yeah, sure. All of the things that they need, they provide them in a school, and they don't need to bring anything, and they don't need to have it on their own.
Yeah. And this school that you are taking him is not a private school.
That is a governmental public school.
For instance, in Iran, we have also this kind of school, but it's terrifying. That's why most of the parents take their children into private schools. But here, it's totally fine. Like
And on the other hand, beside of the public school, there are some community schools. They are free to, like all of the services that provided by the library for the kids are free. And also for the 3 months, a little bit monthly charge for adults, but for kids are also free. All of the services that provide in the library. And we have such a community centers for the kids and for the adults that we need to pay maybe around $60 for each semester. It means $120 per year for children to participate in any sport that they want to.
Wow, it was a crazy ride, in my opinion. Like for people who also want to decide to come here, it definitely has some critical points that some people like because they consider them before coming, like yourself. But a lot of things for immigration is that when you arrive, you realize them. Like you have to deal with this thing right now here the most and the fastest way you can. As for students, we say to ourselves is that we have a going back button. But I guess for families, that could be much different. So as my last question, that I want you to give a kind of advice to people with your kind of situation, like a families. What kind of advice you would give them?
In my opinion, I'm not in a situation that give anyone any advice because I'm in a sort of my journey. I'm at the beginning of my journey. If anyone to get this decision to living abroad, I would say that the Canada is a good country if you have a child. Because this is the country of the child, and after that for pets.
Yeah, they do care a lot about their
Yeah.
pets. Okay. So thank you again for
You're welcome.
being our
Anytime, really.
5th interviewer. And I will put also the episode of Emma that we had as a school student up here, that you can check him and see his experience as a school student here and going through the journey of being a college student, and as a person that was into art now and has to deal with a lot of things as a person that is not in that kind of environment anymore. Please feel free to subscribe, comment, and also we will really look forward to see you hopefully until next week. Bye.
Yeah.